Before we get into things, at the end of this, I'm going to talk about a new podcast episode featuring Paul Bissonnette, some never-before-seen content, but let's talk Charlie McAvoy. God, this was an ugly injury Charlie McAvoy suffered, and we finally got to hear from him today as he rejoined the Bruins to talk to the media and, of course, see the boys as well. And I got to admit, I didn't actually see his injury a couple of weeks ago live, and I heard about it after he got hit by a puck, and that does happen sometime, but when you actually see it, especially in slow motion, how hard his jaw is impacted by that slap shot, it's brutal. And he says when talking to the press today that he knew right away that it was a bad injury. He gave some more details about his injury and the recovery, saying that it wasn't a shattered jaw, rather it was a pretty clean fracture right down one side of his face, and you can tell watching the video that he's got two different jaw lines now. It's pretty gnarly, and he busted up a bunch of his teeth, of course. Can only imagine what his mouth looked like directly after, but unfortunately, and to no surprise, he cannot eat, so he says he's lost nearly 20 pounds, which makes sense, especially as an athlete with a body who's used to a lot of calories and a lot of calories out, and he still has some recovery time, after which presumably he will come back wearing a cage for at least a while. He said it's 6 weeks recovery from time of surgery. He was injured November 15th. That means realistically he'll probably be coming back early January. You got to imagine it's nice to be around the boys though, and I bet some of the nutrition guys on the team can probably get him some high protein shakes going. But again, the 6 weeks is also just a baseline. If he doesn't get his strength back up, his legs back, if it doesn't heal correctly, he could be out for longer. So best of luck, McAvoy. The Bruins have 5 losses in the 9 games since he's been gone, which makes sense. He's one of the league's best defensemen, and he plays the most minutes for the team. I do wonder, after an injury like this, does McAvoy sort of lose some of his shot blocking he's known for? Not to say that he would do so purposefully, but something in the back of your lizard mind has to be frightened after that happens. But man, jaw injuries are tough. I remember Crosby, after he got his jaw was gnarly. It was hard to look at. It really was. One of the scariest situations like this that I ever watched, and I remember watching this game with my girlfriend at the time, Mark Stahl getting hit by that slap shot right above the eye. He missed the rest of that season, and I don't think his eye ever actually fully recovered. What's crazy about this is both the injuries I just mentioned were off deflections. McAvoy, he ate the slap shot directly, so it's bad, but thank God it's not worse. Now, one thing I was thinking about while watching this interview is right now in the NHL, it's illegal to wear a cage or a visor unless you're recovering from an injury. I do wonder, now that every player in the NHL has a piss missile in their back pocket and sticks are the way they are, could that ever change? I don't think players will ever have mandated cages, but I can definitely see it becoming an allowed thing at some point. Anyway, that's all for me. Before I go, as I mentioned a couple of times, I've been helping the Clearing the Crease podcast with some of their content. It's going through the old archive, and they have an interview with Paul Bissonnette, which YouTube took down. So I've been finding parts of it. Right now, I've got an upload I just put up where he tells stories about some of his, I'll just say, most inappropriate tweets. It's good, and honestly, the channel needs a lot of work to get right. The people, doing my job before me, they didn't know much about YouTube. So if you can check that out and help out, I'd really appreciate it. Help your man keep a job, but it's also really great content. I had a call with Andrew Raycroft, and we're going to talk to Mike Commodore later. Very exciting stuff. Anyway, bye-bye.
My phone is blowing up at 7:45 the next morning after this. She's on local radio blowing me up. I got a small horn, bad in bed,